have all the windows closed?
Yeah, there's still
Are there
mold
any
on in there.
auspiciously hanging pots and pans that could possibly fall off if there was an
No,
earthquake?
but
Would it
that
make lots
shit
of
happened
noise?
to me the day after watching the Babadook. That shit was not hot.
It's a very real thing. Lastly, is your car parked on the street? Because the last thing I would
No.
want is that your car gets broken into while we're in between, and the window breaking is so
I'm
earth-shattering that
mad
it
at you,
somehow
worried
makes
about
it
it
into.
for
Well,
Atlanta.
yeah, fuck that burglar. Yeah, fuck him too.
Yeah, I can agree with that. That's a strong fuck you. All right, this is Brother Sip and Talk Shit, where we discuss all things horror and foreign films. I'm T, and I would rather turn on any of the Saw movies than sit through Casablanca.
Hey, this is V, and I'd probably watch Casablanca and then do a double feature with Enter the Dragon.
Enter the Dragon, Casablanca. I can't even. All right, so the foreign film that we got today is from the director of the award-winning
Let's give him
film
some cheers. He
Parasite.
deserves the cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He low-key got Guillermo del Toro, but we'll talk about that another time. So the same guy that made Parasite, Bong Joon-ho. I hope I said it right. I pray to God I said it right. He did Parasite, Academy Award-winning film. He also did Snowpiercer, another film called The Host, another film called Barking Dogs Don't Bite. He has a whole bunch of extensive stuff. Since this is your film, I'll go ahead and let you start it off.
Awesome. So this is actually going to be fun because we're going to do this accelerated. And also, I don't think I'm going to spoil this one for you guys because I think it's that damn good.
Are we doing a spoiler-free one?
I'm going to attempt, no promises, but I'm
All
going
right.
to try to not spoil it terribly because it's just so damn good. So this is a film that's based on a mother who has a son who gets wrongfully charged for a murder. Ooh, mystery. And that kind of sets up the whole storyline is this mother trying to dig into the facts the best she can in hopes of her son being able to get freed. Get freed. That doesn't make any sense. Get freed.
Clear his name. Just go with simple things like that.
Freed. But I don't even know what's going on there. Words are tough. But I think that this particular film, I wanted to talk about Parasite, and this was an excuse to talk about Parasite. But I realized that this film was so amazing. I'm never going to bring up Parasite right now because this film was awesome. Like this was. I just want to get this out right now. Like this film was amazing. Like people say it's like his best film, and I see why. It is marvelous, like marvelously done. I think that one little background on why I chose this particular foreign film, the reason why I like Korean films is that they are very good at what I would call classic Greek tragedies. They're able to, for whatever reason, craft this amazingly dark, dramatic story so well. So I would say that they're almost the kings of tragedy in modern times for me, because I think of like some of the greatest dramas that came out in the last 10, 20 years, and there's a few Korean dramas up there that are just like definitely my top 10 list. I also would be disrespectful if I did not shout out barbecue and pop music as their other two fun attributes. There was neither of those in this film, but I just felt like it had to be mentioned.
I feel like there's some level of racism in there. I don't know where, but I feel like it's some.
I live in a West Coast town, coastal town. Let's just say where I'm allowed to say things of that sort because I truly love the culture.
A mess. Watching Mother, I went and saw Parasite. Parasite was great. I love Snowpiercer as well. I watched Mother, and I honestly like Mother more than I liked Parasite and Snowpiercer. It is great. I agree with you that Korea has given us like some of the greatest dramas, some of the greatest things. As long as we got stuff like Old Boy coming out of there, I Saw the Devil, like stuff like that. Like they do revenge better than most. They like I say they come with some of the greatest revenge films ever. So What I learned from watching this film about this director. If you haven't seen Parasite, see Parasite. If you enjoy Parasite at all, definitely see Mother. What I like most about Mother is that this story is revolving around the mother trying to help her clearly intellectually disabled kid.
Well worded, good
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
That was very
absolutely. Yeah.
respectful.
In a intellectually disabled kid is wrongfully accused of murder and is trying to clear his name. It is wild, some of the things there. Some of the crazy things I walked away with is how it's so crazy, and I read more about this, that like it's crazy to hear about murders like that in those particular cultures. So like when the police were dealing with the murder, they said this is the first murder I've had since I've been in the force. I've been in the force for like 5 years. Like what the fuck is going on? Like America, you get one every other week. Like every other week, I'm sorry. Every other day. No, as a matter of fact, let me correct that. One's happening right now. I don't know who's getting murdered, but somebody's getting murdered
Someone
right now.
is
Right now.
definitely
Getting murdered.
getting this old saying, if it
Oh,
wasn't supposed to be intimidating, it'd be called muck duck. You
exactly.
know,
Some
so
people are getting murdered right now, and they over there talking about, we haven't had murder in this town in years. They're like, what? Eh, that must be nice. And in that, the police also happen to go about it very like ineptly in a lot of ways. The ineptitude that I saw with like the lawyers and the cops involved and their way of interrogating people was insane. That was acceptable. Like sometimes you look and be like, well, I'm glad that's not how things roll here. Other things I'll be cool with, but man, like the way they went about that, it's just like they were like, well, I guess we'll just do this. Got the craziest signed confession I ever seen. It's just wild. But since he's asked not to spoil this film because the
can
director is so
attempt.
great.
There's no rules here.
Um,
There's no gravity.
you know, I
Just gravy.
I want to spoil it. Let me say from this point on, I'll call it spoiler alerts. Stop it. Like go watch the movie from this point. No, like stop listening.
Pause. Watch the movie.
Watch the movie.
Okay.
All right,
Has it been enough time?
Hold on. Let's give him a moment.
Give them a moment. Okay. Moment of silence for them to watch the film.
Okay. All right, you've seen it now. Shit was crazy, right? Oh,
That shit was wild, right?
Yo,
Wilding and coyoting. That shit was bugging, bro.
It was nuts. So here's what I pull away from it. What I've learned about this director, is he either likes redemption arcs of terrible people, or what I realized with watching Parasite and watching this. Watching Mother made me realize that he does an excellent fucking job of following the villain throughout the entire film, but having you sympathize with the villain from the beginning. And from the beginning up until the point that you realize this person has been a shitty person before this movie started, when this movie started, and is going to end being a shitty person. If you watch Parasite, at the beginning, you're like, oh man, like this family is just down and out. They're kind of finding a plucky way to do this shit. And then you realize these motherfuckers is scum. They've been scum. They're a bunch of scammers. They ain't never did shit, ain't never gonna be shit. And now they all got what they deserve. Like just the horrible set of circumstances was all because they're horrible. They didn't deserve shit. The titular mother in this, named Mother, who goes through all this stuff to go ahead and get her son free, ain't worth shit. You find out that when he was 5 years old, she tried to poison him and herself because she couldn't think of like growing up and living with this kid. So he may be intellectually disabled because she poisoned him, have him rat poison. And she's even talking to someone about giving him rat poison and being disappointed in herself because she went and bought the cheap stuff instead of the good stuff. She wasn't even gonna go hard and poison him in a good way. Just gave him the cheap, not even the Walmart brand, the dollar store rat killer, and the kid didn't die. And then she's very prominent in acupuncture, hits points to make the kid forget about it. It's just the wildest thing ever. It's a wild ride. Like I'll let you talk a little bit more, but it's a wild ride for me.
Yeah, I would say that it was incredibly enjoyable. You're right. He does like to make, it's that whole Dexter theory. I'll let you guys guess which one I'm talking about. That sympathizing with this terrible monster
not even,
of a character.
Because Dexter even had rules and understanding. You could at least make it say like, these are just shitty villainous people. They're just shitty people.
Yeah.
There's no wonderful Dexter thing about them.
There was beautiful moments. Definitely a lot of. I enjoyed the winds and turns, but I did want to talk to you about like were they really winds and turns, or was it just like this weird choppy storyline that
it wasn't choppy.
Didn't really matter because it was about the mother. Like the storyline didn't matter because it was just about this character.
It was about perspective. This is one of the films where you watch where you get the unreliable narrator, right? And the unreliable narrator is the son's depiction of that events that stops at that point, and the mother's point of view of the son up until the end. And then once you get the information from outside of that, it's crazy. In the beginning, her son associates with this other guy who's clearly like former paramilitary or something like that, and is helping her interrogate and investigate people. But when he first sees her, at first their whole thing of getting together and actually working together, she thinks that he committed the murder and framed her son, and he shows up at her crib and shakes her down for like 5,000 cash. And then she asks him for help, and he says, I'll help you all and all, but let me start this off by saying, don't trust anybody, even me. And he goes and he helps her. They interrogate people. They get information. They find out about this phone that took pictures of the crime scene. So to make the crime even clearer now that we've gotten past the spoilers, the son is out drunk one night. He's trying to get this girl to talk to him. She doesn't talk to him. She walks down an alley and she doesn't respond. A rock is thrown out at him and he runs away. The next day, the cops are showing that the girl was murdered and killed on top of that building. And the whole film is making it seem like he was there. He was just a scared little boy. He ended up running away. He didn't know what to do. The girl that he was after clearly had people that would be coming for her because she was more or less, they called her rice cake girl. In so many words, she would give it up for rice cake.
Yeah, that is such a obscure nickname that actually made a lot of sense.
Rice cake girl. I mean,
yeah, it was like that doesn't make because you can all
it took was a rice
clever.
cake. So one thing that this rice cake girl did do was she took pictures of everybody that she had sex with. You go through the film and you find out this camera exists, this phone is, and somebody may have been trying to get to the camera and everything is going on with that. You see the rice cake girl and you're like, oh man, she clearly had lots of enemies. The son is having memory issues because of his disability, and he finally remembers a face that he saw that night. He goes back and the mother goes through with the friend and they get this phone. They find the dude's picture. They find the guy. The mom runs up on the guy. And what she wants to do is she wants to like do this little acupuncture thing to him to kind of get him to confess that.
Oh my God. Hold on a second. I gotta go. We gotta talk more about this. We're gonna have to continue this in a later moment. I thought you to this film, he just shoots like an open golf course. And I'm like, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in cinema. Right. It's just a golf course. Like, how is he able to do so? How is this even possible? And I knew it was like, oh, this is going to be an amazing film from that moment on. And then he showed at least 15 to 30 more shots after that golf course that outdid themselves shot after shot. Yeah. Like, he did it like 15 times. I was like, oh, that was an amazing shot. Oh, this is another amazing shot that was better than last. How does he do this? How does he do this? I'd say that there's like 3 that really stuck out to me that I just loved. One was when mother beats the man to death with a wrench. It was the mother with the wrench.
Yeah, that's the whole point junkyard. The old man. She finds out that the guy had actually
destroys him.
The guy had actually seen her son kill the girl. So the entire time you're thinking that we're trying to make better is that the film told you, yes, we arrested the right person because, yes, he was a shitty person. Yes, he did it. Yes, the mom treated him shitty when he was ill. Yes, she raised a shitty kid, and her shitty kid killed somebody, and somebody saw her do it and saw him do it. And what does she do? She just wows out and beats this man to death with a wrench. And you're like, what the fuck?
We did not see that coming.
That shit was such a turn. And then burned his house to the ground.
To the ground.
And
cinematically beautiful. Like it's 5 minutes. Lots of shots of just the mother by herself that were very well done, which leads me to my number 2 shot, which was the fact that it began and ended with her dancing. And yes. I thought that was beautifully done. And then number 3, this is like, it's such a weird shot that I had to like rewind a couple of times. There's this moment right before the son throws the rock. And it's almost like this decision point where you have the girl in one window, then there's the wall, then he is in the other window, and you're seeing it from the perspective of the old man witness. and he sees them like in two separate windows, and you see just for a brief moment, perhaps this was just a misunderstanding. Perhaps
Right.
it's just one moment, but then literally it shoots that, and then he throws that rock back, and it is curtains for that girl.
Yeah.
But that
Long
like
gone.
shot of the two people through like these murky ass foggy windows, man, this guy loves slums. He loves like the slums.
But he loves
It's
showing
beautiful.
people that are like down and out, but then
Yeah,
showing like some maybe down and out because they're just down and out people. Like some people just ain't gonna climb up from that. They ain't they
yeah.
ain't gonna climb up from that. Guys,
For me,
heard.
because there was also comedy in this, because that's what great directors do. They do every genre at once because they're that splendiferous. Overall, like great cinematography, and again, I think this film overall was amazing. And I think one thing that I truly enjoy is the dramedy sections of films. And I'm not quite sure where it comes from. Like, why do we need this comedic nature, or was he trying to be funny? But it is funny, and maybe they're kind of just like using the comedy to then set up more drama. I don't know. But one of my favorite scenes was at the end when he throws the rock at the girl. By the way, this like 10-minute scene of when you actually see
This is where
him
you pull
commit
the
the murder.
comedy when
You know,
he hits her with the rock. I thought you
yeah.
were gonna go
Look,
like 10 other places. The
no.
rock,
There's a moment that
the
is pretty
murder
funny.
is where you found the comedy.
Yes, that's kind of where my mind is. Sorry.
I what
If it wasn't intimidating, again, it'd be called Muck Duck.
what?
So he tosses the rock, and he just goes like, and then he has this sudden realization of what he's done. And he's like, shit. He pulls out the phone. He's just like, no. Hangs up the phone. He then pulls it out again. He's like, shit.
That was funny to
That
you.
was, yeah, that was hilarious.
That is.
That
I'm
was
the one that
hilarious.
likes a horror movies. That's twisted, man. Like it was clearly like
It was like this panic
no.
moment
It
in
was
his
this
mind
panic.
that I
This
was like,
panic of a intellectually disabled person processing what they just did, and then almost losing the regret factors, trying to think who he should call. And I think what did happen is he did end up calling his friend. After that, he was trying to figure out what to do, and I even go to the unreliable narrator. He may have talked to his friend for a brief moment that we didn't see, because his friend said the same exact thing about when he first started working with his mother. His friend was like, why would somebody throw a body on top of a roof like that so the whole world would see? At the end of the movie, that's what the son says to the mother, that breaks the mother, that makes her realize that yeah, he did do the murder. He's like, I wonder why somebody, I was thinking if somebody put the body up there, it's probably because they wanted people to see, so maybe she could get help or something like that. Like, that was a really wild scene, and you found it funny. I was like 10 other things I
I
was
thought
wrong
that
for
little
about
moment
comedy.
when he was like panicking, calling in his
Really?
gestures
So,
was
an
hilarious.
intellectually disabled person committing murder and trying to decide and process it emotionally otherwise is where you found the highest level of comedy in that movie?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess
Something's wrong
that
with you, man.
was,
Something's
yeah,
wrong with you. This is
that was pretty
weird.
funny to me.
That is not
It
funny. Look,
it was pretty funny because it's
I thought you
like,
were gonna talk about the like. So the mother hires this high-profile lawyer who's like shrugging her off the entire time, and when he finally like decides to see her after giving her like this weird cold shoulder, he's in a karaoke bar, drunk as all hell, saying that his son's only gonna get 4 years and he's gonna get thrown in the psychiatric joint. He's got two friends with him that are passed out drunk, and like three karaoke girls with him. And come to find out, one of the people that is with him is the head of the psychiatry office that he went to college with, and that's partially why she's getting his son sent there. It seems like there was just some cycle of like the fucked upness of lawyers working with somebody at a hospital so everybody can make money off the situation
oh yeah,
was fucked up. But the whole presentation of them like trying to talk to her about it, offering her like a fucking Boilermaker, and then try to get her to sing karaoke with them, and she's like totally distraught as a mother trying to approve the thing. I would even lean more towards that because how fucking slumped over drunk the professionals were in there. But no, you go for the scene of murder where someone's going through the worst decision in their life and doesn't know who to call or if to call someone. You thought that was funny. You're sick, man. You got fucking problems, bro.
I thought there was a comedic nature to his performance there.
It wasn't
Right,
supposed to be
wrong,
funny.
or
So
indifferent.
do you laugh at intellectually disabled people on a regular, or is it just this movie?
I would say that when they are
How
panicking
you
post,
answer this question will determine your place in hell. So Think
I
very
would say
carefully
that
before you proceed.
post-murder reaction in a particular film of this nature, there was a comedic nature to his panic, because
Because he was
like,
intellectually disabled, you thought it was funny.
well, no, I think that no, don't
Because
belittle this reaction.
that's why his
No,
reaction the way it was. It was a
no.
childlike,
I think
intellectually disabled
let me
person
let
panicking
me
and opening,
rephrase
closing
it.
the phone, opening, closing the phone, trying to
Let
figure out how to
me
call somebody, and you were like, ha ha! Look at that
let
funny
me
little blank
let me give
boy.
you a frame of reference here. I think that this film is amazing because it evokes a lot of different emotions at once, and I think that
So you're copped out for
moment
laughing at
of
an intellectually
comedy
disabled kid.
was just a whirlwind of
That
emotions going on. Like, and I
there's
think
like
that it's because it's like that's what makes it so incredibly
20 other things you could have said
good.
was the
It's kind
funniest
of
point of the
like
movie.
you know when you have like a really good meal and there's all these
For
complex
the record,
flavors, but you kind of like
he thought an
taste it layer
intellectually
by
disabled
layer.
person that just
I
murdered someone
think that
and
this
was panicking and
is
trying to make a phone call
has to do
was the
with
funniest part of this
this kind
movie.
of like
I don't care
there's
what
all
he's
these
saying right
emotions going
now.
on, and one of them is like, oh my
I'm just
gosh, this
letting
is
you
like
know
a
that I
little bit of
don't
comedy,
agree.
but it's tragic.
I am
And again,
talking
it
over
goes back
him
to that.
because I don't
It goes back
agree.
to my theory of like like I
You
use
didn't
the
even call him
term. I think
intellectually
drama
disabled,
is
did you?
incorrect. Again, I think it's like tragedies. Like he's writing pure tragedies, and if you look back
Oh, yeah.
historically, there's always comedy in these tragedies. There's always like
Yes,
things
there's
of that
comedy in
sort.
the movie, but that wasn't the
So
funny one. That wasn't. There's nothing funny
it
about
was
that moment.
humorous to me. It was
No, it
humorous.
like after he throws and hits a girl with a rock in the head, which his intention wasn't to hit her in the rock with a head, and realizing he may have killed that girl, this poor intellectually disabled boy panics. Now,
But no.
before he comes to the, he
I
panics.
think he purposely made this moment right after that a little bit comedic
I don't. I don't.
to
Comedic?
soften
No, I
what
think
was
he
going
made. I
on.
think he made
Like
it.
it and
He
it
made
it's
it.
but it
He
was
made it
perfectly
drastic. It
balanced.
was
Like
panic. There was
it doesn't
nothing
destroy
funny.
the moment.
Is you laughed at it
It's just like
intellectually.
I have
Listen,
to
B.
soften this. I have to
Listen, B.
soften this scene
You
just a little bit,
laughing.
and
That
I'm going
wasn't.
to
That didn't soften the
insert
scene. That
just
made it more.
a dash
That
of
is
comedy
that is
to
not
just like
comedy. That is
lighten the
panic.
load, but it's still a very
I
serious
felt
problem.
more
Like
stressed when I saw that moment. I got more stressed because I was like, he's trying to figure out what to do. It wasn't fun. Like he picked the phone up and he was like, "Do I call some? No, don't. Do I call some? No, do I? Do I call some?" And when you see the way he's processing information through the rest of the movie, you realize how drastically dangerous and how much of a dark place he is in. And you thought to yourself, "That is hilarious." You laugh at a lot of other things. You laugh at a lot of other things that we won't say because I'm not going to say the word that you're trying to get me to say because that's probably what you call them behind their backs. When you take off your
I
when you take off your
think
little
you're
when you take off
no
your
no no no
little
no 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 no. I don't think
you
that's.
take off
I
your
think
mask.
you're going way too
You take off
far
your
into
Grand Dragon
the
uniform. That's what you call it. That's
psychoanalysis
what you call it when you go to work with them. I
to how
get
I
it.
found
No, you
murder
found
a
it. You
slight
found it.
bit
You found
humorous.
the murder perpetrated by an intellectually disabled man who then struggled to think if he should call somebody and who he should call or what to do in a situation as he frantically moved the funniest part of that movie.
I think there is a moment of comedic nature to
Nah, jeez.
how he
Nah,
runs through
jeez.
these like thoughts of what to do. Now, immediately
That's
after
funny
he
to you.
stops, once he puts the phone away, nothing funny about that. Nothing funny after
The
that.
the whole point that he
But
was struggling with the phone and trying to figure out should I call someone, should I not, should I? And it's not just a normal person thinking in a certain faculties. This is someone who you've clearly seen the way his decision making goes, the way he is. For him to be stuck in that loop in that moment, it was such a scary moment because every other time he's had a cop out or somebody that could kind of give him an answer of what to do or push him in
the
the
comedy
direction or somebody, but it's not funny. There's nothing.
the comedy makes him
When I saw
more.
when I saw that,
Remember, you're saying like he's taking
it's
these
not funny.
villainous characters and making them feel less like more innocent, and I
That
think that
was
comedic
in the
portion
beginning.
is supposed to make you
Nope.
feel a little bit
Nope.
like
That's the beginning
he's
part.
innocent, oh, maybe it isn't his fault. Maybe he is truly maybe he truly has a lot of problems
Yo,
and
I would
issues
have
that
gone.
he can't even cope with this
I would have gone back
properly
when they brought everybody back
because
to the scene of the crime, and he's waving at his mother and stuff like that. pulling down his mask when clearly like they're trying to keep his identity secret and going back through the thing and the crowd is there and the way he reacted. I even be more inclined to say, okay, I could see the comedy in that. I could see the way that the mother interacted with the lawyer, the way that a couple other people just kind of blew things off and they whatever. But you pick the point where the man was at his most struggle point in making the biggest decision of his life because he couldn't decide who to call, if to call, and someone to call, and didn't have anybody around him to do it. You found comedy in that, and I, sir, quite contrary to you, not even in the slightest bit, saw any bit of comedy in that. That was the most. You talk about it being the funny, like having the funniest scene. That was the most stressful scene because you saw that the mother was cold and calculated in the way that she murdered, and then you saw the like this is right after seeing the son murdered and he didn't know what to do, and then he decided to embrace it. Like when he got caught, he said, yeah, I did it. And we were under the idea that, oh man, they're taking advantage. It's an intellectually disabled kid. He doesn't really know if he did it or not. He's just a crime of being in a situation. You know what this reminded me of, and I thought why it was scary. Scarier is because you thought it was funny. I looked at it like Of Mice and Men. At that point, like he was trying to make the rabbit come back to life after he broke the rabbit's neck, or he broke the little girl's neck. Like, is she sleeping? Is she sleeping? That whole point, and he's going through trying to wake up the rabbit, and Of Mice and Men, to wake up the girl after he accidentally breaks her neck. Like that right there would be the same if you found that was funny, because the way he's like, wake up, and you're like, oh, that's hilarious. He thought she was sleeping.
The reference to Of Mice and Men
that is
awesome.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Like when he put the phone, was it Lenny? It was Lenny, right? It was Lenny in Of Mice and Men. That was Lenny in Of Mice and Men shaking the girl to wake her up, not realizing that he broke her neck. Like that is the feeling I got from that. And that's why I say I can't find it funny, because at that point, that was one of the most scariest touching part, because
that's why I say after that moment, it's not very funny, because everything he does after that is very serious and very, but like at that moment, the only thing that actually happened that was like horrifying was he threw the rock at the girl, which at that moment in time, it's shocking. Like it was, whoa. I was like, holy, no way this is where this film's going. And then his first reaction is this like befuddlement of what to do. And I do think it was well calculated to soften the even more harsher stuff coming. I think it was because
that didn't soften it. Made it
this
worse.
Flow. It's like this peaks and valleys. Like you need to have this portion of like you need to relieve the stress somehow.
That wasn't funny.
And I think sometimes they use comedy in like again that's where the term like dramedy comes from. And I think they use it to like create this beautifully balanced scale, you know.
I don't see that was funny at all. I
was surprised that we're talking about this as long as we are. I'll be very honest with you.
But you said that a point where clearly when someone was at their worst, was at their worst, scariest moment in their life, where they literally had to make a decision of what do I do right now. He was at the scene of an accident, and he had to decide if I was going to get in the car and drive away. Do I sit here and try to help this person knowing that I've been drinking, so I'm probably going to go to jail? He was at that moment and all those decisions were going through his head, and he wasn't even there with the mental capacity to even be able to reason what to do. And he was stuck in a loop. Do I call someone? Do I not call someone? Do I call someone? Do I not call someone? That's scary. That was not funny at all. Like, have you never done something and like you're sitting there with the oh shit, and it's not a funny oh shit, it's a real life oh shit. Like, oh, I didn't kill it. Oh my god, tell me it isn't dead. Tell me it isn't dead. Is it dead? Oh shit, it's dead. Fuck, it's dead. It's dead. It's dead. Shit. Do I help it? Do I try to pick it up? Oh no, oh shit. But it wasn't done funny. It was like he always had somebody around that could kind of cop him out. Like even his friend would be like, oh, you're stupid what you did, you shouldn't have kicked the mirror. Like even if he didn't do it, it gave him a moral ground of understanding of how to handle the situation, whether it was to own up to it and say, yeah, I did it, so what, or even to go on the other side and be like, like I was wrong, you need not to do this again. Even if it was arguing in conflict, he always had somebody. At that moment, he had no one. And someone who did not have the capacity had to figure out, is this a situation where I call somebody? Who do I call? What do I say when I call that person? That's what I saw. You saw. Ah, he's playing with his flip phone. I saw. Like this is scary, and there's silence. There's so much silence in this movie, and there's so many moments where it's just like that's gripping. It was gripping. Those last minutes of the film gripping. Like
Oh, the what is that, like
that
a
was not
good
funny.
15, I would say that like 15-minute, 20-minute portion of the mother's in the junkyard to when the mother burns down the junkyard, that 15-20 minute scene was marvelous. And what? There's four characters in that scene.
Right, right.
Amazing. Like amazing what you can do with just a few people.
It's four characters, and one of them is the same in all in both of the
Yeah.
scenes. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I just I man, you said that was funny. There's a couple other things I would have got. Like I thought it was interesting, like the comedy and the way that the ineptitude of everybody involved, the police, the lawyers. It seemed
Yeah.
like they were like,
Yeah,
but
but
even
I
in
think
their
that's
ineptitude,
like
they made the right decision. They made they
I
like they
think I
made
think
the
we're
right
all
decision.
I know, but I think that like he was trying to show that everyone makes bad decisions, everyone makes unsmart decisions, everybody, and again that moment of hey, everybody is shitty. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head of like, yeah, he loves portraying these like shitty characters, but the fact that you can relate to them at that moment, are you shitty too?
I mean,
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, it's
Or
cool, but
is it
I
that,
mean,
or that he
I
can
wouldn't relate to the
that
mother. I wouldn't have banged the
you know?
dude's head in with the wrench.
But it was a crime of passion. Like that made
But
more sense.
what's a
What
crime
the
of
mother
passion?
did
Absolutely, it
made
don't.
more
A crime of
sense than
passion
what the
don't make it
son
right.
did. You know?
It doesn't make it excusable. It was a crime of passion, but it's also the fact that it shows that she didn't even like her son. She wanted to off her son. She's been lying to herself about the son. I think it was more telling that she's probably a much worse person than's portrayed. You get the unreliable narrator, we feel that way, but there's also things going on like the people talking about the acupuncture she's doing is illegal. Her willingness at the end of the movie, and this is a very important part that happened at the end of the movie. Her son got out of jail, but not because she killed the guy, but because another intellectually disabled boy with Down syndrome who had a relation with the girl that died end up getting arrested and falsely imprisoned for the crime. The mother visited the kid, asked him if he had any family. He said no, and she just left him there in jail. She was a shitty person. And then when she found out that her son actually committed the crime, when he said the thing that sounded just like what his friend said and confirmed what she thought, as a matter of fact, one step further, her son went to the scene of the crime where she killed the guy and got her thing of acupuncture needles and said, hey, you probably shouldn't leave this around, showing that one, he knew that he was wrong. Two, that he knew that she did it. Three, she also sends another boy with Down syndrome to jail. Three, she uses a special Asian acupuncture technique to make herself forget about it and then just dance happily in the end. She's shitty. And
Yeah.
the
It was
the
marvelous.
thing
Like when
the
I
thing
say
is
it was
the
like
point
such a
the point the boy through the
terrible
rock
story.
the
Like
boy through the rock, any sympathy, any comedy, any joy I had for him went away because it showed that the movie wasn't a who done it film. It's you know who did it. No, really, they did do it. And this is fucking why they did it. And stop trying to tell me they didn't do it. Here's your proof. And you're like, ooh, it's not a revenge film, an irredeemable film, like an irredemption arc. You get what I'm saying?
I think that there's a few moments where he hinted at when they remember there was like the all the talk about like hey, murders committed because of these three things, and it was kind of this foreshadowing of like, oh, what is the murder about
Money, it
here?
says money,
And come to
passion,
find
and
out
vengeance.
that
That's what it is.
all the all the deaths are really like passion based, which it kind of plays on this humanity side of when you're in the moment of passion and you lose, because I think they really showed it really well with the mother when she after she was in the monkey wrench with the junkyard and smashes the dude's head in, and then she just screams like fanatically because she like awakes from this kind of daze of this passion and goes, oh my gosh, why did I do this? And it's like it's almost scary. Like, have you ever caught yourself in a moment of that passion and doing something so shittily, and then having this post-traumatic like reaction of, man, I really messed up. That being said, she's still a horrible human being. I completely agree with you, and I think
Like
that she plays
she
this
tried to kill her. She tried
incredibly.
to kill her
She
son though. By the
she
way,
plays an incredibly,
it was disappointing because she got the wrong rat killer. Just want to say.
yeah,
Just
yeah, complicated,
so
incredibly complicated.
I'm to believe at that point, if you're willing to kill your son and then kill a man because he saw your son kill somebody, then in between point A and point B, you did a lot more shitty shit.
She's arguably, I would say, one of the most
because the small
unredeemable
shit that was going
characters.
on
Like,
is like the way some of the shit was shot. It was shot over the shoulder, so you were ignoring some of the things that were going on that was important. One point, one person is talking to her that's in her shop and says, "You know, this puncture. Are you still performing acupuncture illegally? Are you still making stuff you shouldn't do?" Is showing that she's already doing wrong shit. You get what I'm saying? She's always been wrong, always been terrible, and she just continues to be that way. Like it probably even implies why the father isn't around. All types of shit. Like she's probably
yeah, didn't
shitty,
talk about
shitty,
that.
shitty.
But yeah, I put her up with your boy from Flight as most unredeemable characters in
Oh
film
yeah,
history.
120%.
I would
I'll
say
agree with you on
she's
that.
actually more unredeemable because she just like dances away at the
She makes herself
end.
forget
Like
about it. At least, dude from Flight. At least he
he
faced
fessed
his
up.
crime. at least he went to jail. At least
Yeah,
Denzel
but
sucked it up. I
I
mean,
think that
he
that's what made it such a good tragedy too. Is like, yeah, sometimes the bad guy wins, and I think that that's something that doesn't happen enough in kind of American cinema.
and I don't
Is
know if I
like,
call it the bad guy
what?
wins, but just not everybody is like when you watch like Dragon Ball Z, they're following Goku. Nobody wants to watch fucking Yamcha's story. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to see the story of Cell's development from his beginning to his defeat by Goku, where he doesn't come back. But they have you follow Cell. You get what I'm saying? From his beginning, you're thinking, oh, this is, and you're like, oh no, he's shitty. He's shitty. You get what I'm saying? Like you just learn from a midway point of they're horrible. You're thinking they're doing shit for what is good. It's just it's not necessarily. He does follow the villain, but I almost like to look at it as they follow somebody. They follow somebody in the storyline you wouldn't think to follow before. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
and
yeah.
I think yeah, I think that this is like what made this film even better for me. Again, I had those reminiscing. I hate to bring up other films all the time, but sometimes you just have to. Is like I hadn't felt like this at the ending of a film since I've watched Old Boy. I feel
Yeah,
like the
I
first
could do
time.
that. Yeah, old boy again. Old boy is a vengeance film, but that at least there were mistakes made in that. At least there was some level of attempted redemption in that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
While this there was none, which I think that's why it really resonated with me. Um, but yeah,
you,
like at the end of the film, I'm like, wow, like applause,
it,
applause, applause.
the difference is if you would have watched Old Boy and it would have followed the guy who would thrown him in jail, but only from the point that his daughter or his sister had killed herself, and then he put this
We're
guy
not.
in the jail. Like if you only put the perspective from the main villain in Old Boy's perspective, then you would have got Mother. You get what I'm saying? You would have got that view. Like that's the villain you watch. Like I don't know. It's crazy because at the end of the
It's
day, in Old Boy, he was still having sex with his sister. like
yeah,
it
that's a whole nother. Let's not spoil another film. In we already spoiled one film. Let's not spoil two.
Old Boy has a remake by Spike Lee. At this point, if you haven't watched it, you are cheating yourself. Both of them are
Hey,
good. I like the
I
Spike
don't
Lee
even
films.
spoil Godzilla for people. All right, you never know.
Godzilla steps on the city in that one.
Yeah, he's just like, what happens at the end? John dies at the end. Never forget that.
John
Um,
dies at the end. True.
I would
True,
say
James.
that there's like a few other things that were marvelous about this film, but one other thing I just wanted to say that subconsciously somehow we picked two films this week that had to do with like a mother's love
Yeah, I
and
guess it did.
very two different perspectives. Maybe it's because I don't know how we did that. Damn, we're good. But I think that this film was also really really good at showing that as well as our film last week, which was blah blah blah, blah Duke 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 Duke,
Duke,
um,
Duke,
showing
Duke.
like what a mother would do for their children, which I think is always a uh, fun little theme. I want you to start off with give me your favorite theme in this film that you see that by the time you saw Parasite, you could see he really grew even better in this kind of like style. If that question makes any sense, because this film came out almost 10 years before Parasite.
It was just crazy.
Which is pretty amazing. I'd say number 2, your favorite foreshadowing moment, or almost like I picked foreshadowing because I think there was a cool foreshadowing I'm going to talk about. And then lastly, you should just review the film. That's the whole purpose of this.
Thing I saw that he brought back and he's gotten better at is, again, his portrayal of the villain. Difference between this and Parasite is Parasite was as the movie came along, there was this slope where you saw like slowly these are terrible people. The difference in Mother, though, Mother was, you didn't think anything negative of the mother until you found out she tried to poison the kid when he was younger, and then they kind of had like an abrupt stop, like, oh, that's it. And then you go further down, and then she ends up killing the guy at the end. It shows that she's like, it just gave you 2 quick punches. Parasite, on the other hand, as every second goes along, they show you a little bit more why they're shittier and shittier and shittier, and it's such a much more gradual slope. But you see the entire slope. This was hit and hit, like 2 big hits that told you everything, like 3 big hits you need to see everything that was done. Basically 1 in the middle of the movie and 2 big ones at the end, and that was it. So he definitely figured out how to ride that slope, to build it more, to deconstruct the hero to a villain much better. The foreshadowing I saw the most was when his homeboy said to his mother, when his homeboy shook his mother down for $5K and then said he'd help her after he shook her down for $5K for accusing him of murder, and then he said, don't trust anybody, not even me. It showed that he knew what happened at some aspect in some point, even if you were misconstruing that he did it or something else like that, or he was actively involved in it. He knew what happened.
So you think the friend knew
the entire time? That's
the entire like what has happened.
Like
he
that's
just
why.
was.
Mm-hmm. That's why he was there
he's
to
honestly
at the
being
release.
a good friend. He was almost being a good friend.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like
even shaking people down, he's still being his friend.
Because in theory, he's helping his friend cover it up even more. He was a crucial character in the way that they did it, and because of that scene, and then it come back to the end when the son is sitting there and confirms the mother's thoughts. I wonder why the body is there. I guess because he wants everybody to see. Maybe he could get help, because that means that that's the conversation that the friend and him had. And it shows you that he remembers stuff, the conversations he had. The same one when he thought about, he kicked the mirror, and then he remembered, oh no, old boy kicked the mirror off. You get what I'm saying? Like it's because of the story and what they discussed and everything like that. So that.
Okay. So what do you give this film? What are you rating?
Again, as usual, we got a simple rating system. 1 is don't tell anybody. 2, watch it again. 3, I'd tell the world about it. This is a strong 2.5. Not for any negative reason. It's just I know that foreign films are sometimes hard for people to watch when it's truly hard in the translation. And if you don't like a slow burn, you're not gonna like this. Is a strong 2 hours long, like a strong.
Oh my lord! I forgot about that.
Strong 2 hours, but
it's not like it's not a wimpy 2. This is like a stern 2 hours.
There's some cultural, like some small cultural faux pas that you have to embrace and understand. Like when they're talking about basically it's like volleyball but only using your feet.
I want to know what
sounds
like
opera,
hacky sack, by the way.
No, it's much more intense than hacky sack. It's much more intense. They're bicycle kicking like a hard ball over a volleyball net to each other. Like it is no hacky sack, sir.
I think that the biggest cultural difference is I still don't know what shop this woman owns. She's just like cutting up
herbs and stuff. No, I think it's herbs. She does herbs and acupuncture. So she probably does tinctures, because when she came to the police station at one point, she was giving out like this ginseng or some shit like that to give him energy, and she's always trying to give old girls something for virality. Like she's probably vitality or whatever to help her have a kid, whatever that V word is. So I think she makes herbs and tinctures, like she's almost just like a medicine woman, so to speak. So that's how it is. But 2.5 because I only say that it might be hard for people that haven't seen it, but it's really good. I mean, if you can get behind the revenge film genre of foreign films. If you can sit through a good crime thriller, you like the payoff at the end. Once you reach the end, it
Yeah,
hits it.
the
That
payoff in this one is
once she pulls that
marvelous.
wrench out and she just acts like, it just blew my fucking mind. So
Yeah,
yeah,
she was very good, very good. I don't know what that actress's name was, but she was extremely memorable. Of the 2 weeks we've been doing this, she has already won my. I have to figure out a term for awards, but she's definitely won Best Female Actress so far. Uh, I would say that my review is that's right, folks. We've done it. We're giving this baby a 3. That's right. That's right, folks. I think that this film is phenomenal, and I think it's like I'm almost mad at myself that I hadn't seen it earlier. Like it's disrespectful as a quote unquote cinema guy that I hadn't done my research with this fellow. I'm amazed. Again, I want to bring up that this movie is 10 years before Parasite, and it is just like extremely well done. I can see all of his influences. It's beautiful. It's masterful. I'd say that he hit the big three for me, which was cinematography was visuals were just like phenomenal. Number two, the storyline was incredibly intriguing. It was well paced. There is the 2 hour mark where you, and again, it is a foreign film. I do agree with you. This is a 2 hour long foreign film. So you were bring your reading glasses.
yeah.
You're going to need them. The third is, again, for me, the audio effects. He has a keen eye, I think, for building tension with string instruments. That was pretty. It's like a shout out. It's like a shout out to old suspense films, you know. So I
I
truly enjoy
noticed
it.
more when he wasn't playing any music. I think the tension he built when there was silence was even better.
Yeah, yeah. Like the auditory responses and stuff was very clever. Like the combinations of his visuals with the audio were just. It almost feels like, man, you could watch this movie in silence with it on mute, and I'm like, it could still possibly be very interesting. You know what I mean?
True.
So I do give it a strong 3, and also check out not only see this film, but definitely check out more of his works. And shout out that he just got one of his works turned into a TV show, which I think is pretty awesome. He deserves it.
Yeah, Snowpiercer.
Um,
I think it just premiered by what was it, yesterday? A couple days
yeah,
ago.
I think it recently premiered. That's another. This
Based
was a
on
very
things we're
well
recording.
timely
Yeah,
episode to talk about
fair.
this dude.
Cause
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna say the greatest foreshadowing was the bloody nose. Yeah, so the girl who was murdered, they actually don't show her that much in the film, which I also think was incredibly well done.
But
They
when they
and
do show her, I have to say that flashback where they were showing where old boy is getting interrogated and telling the flashback, and it seamlessly rolls into the flashback, and the time there, that was a real smooth way to do a flashback. It was really good.
yeah, because every time that the victim here is portrayed, it's only in a someone else is narrating a flashback, which I think is interesting. You don't ever see you never take her perspective lens of the story. You're just hearing individuals narrate an experience with her.
Yeah, it's never her point of view. Even when
Yeah,
she dies, it's not her point of view.
yeah,
It's from the
exactly.
old man looking.
She catches a nosebleed at some point in time in one of these flashbacks, and it's one of those clever director things where it could have been absolutely useless and mean nothing, but and ended up being that's how they falsely imprison this other individual to get the son freed. Is that this individual has her blood on his clothing, but would make sense because she has frequent nosebleeds, which like I think ties like. Again, those cops, you were right, are pretty incompetent. But I think it was a little foreshadowing, like a little device that they used that he brought back that I thought was pretty well put together. So the first question was, what was the one thing that carried over? Man, his rain sequences. This dude has an obsession with rain. He shot a few scenes in this film that were just like inclement weather, and then seeing that then morphed and formed into one of my favorite shots in Parasite when they run downhill for 37 minutes in the rain to the slummiest of all slums. I think that seeing this earlier obsession, I truly think like it's one of those things that is he's really obsessed about like rain. He's obsessed about slums. He's obsessed about the kind of the hierarchy of individuals, like making decisions that impact the impoverished without even really understanding it.
Small side note with that other rain scene, I will tell you the one where she gets the umbrella and she tries to pay dude for it and he only takes a little bit. For a second there, it was the greatest red herring in the film because it made it seem like the guy had known that he saw the kid and knew who the kid was and that he took less money because he was taking out of sympathy for the mother. But in real life, he was just a nice guy and he wasn't going to charge her that much for that umbrella. Like the way he presented it made me think like, oh shit, old boy, really, that old guy really did do it. And he was kind of, that moment when he gave her the umbrella and was giving her a discount was sort of like a kind of, I'm sorry, but that wasn't even it. It was a great fucking red herring. That shit had me going.
Yeah, definitely agree there. So, sorry, long-winded answer to those 3 questions because that lets you know how much I fucking loved it.
No, it's great. It was a great film. I gotta say it was a great film. It's a great film.
So I think that kind of wraps it up for this week.
Again, I leave you with a choice. You could either have Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, Baskin.
Oh no, fuck Baskin. I'm not watching that shit.
Oh no, I was Baskin it is. Baskin it is.
Nah, bro.
So Baskin,
I was the one who told you to watch Baskin.
Exactly. So I watched Baskin.
Why you being all meta here, doing hate picks? Why you doing hate picks, bro?
You gotta. I gotta find what scares you. I gotta find your niche.
Nah, let's oscillate here. We'll hit up Baskin in a few weeks. Let's go with The Rise of Leslie Vernon. Is
Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. This should be it should be different.
That is a really long title. For me, so we've done Japan, we've done Korea. I think that I want to do this next film, though, and you're going to be surprised when I say this, but I actually have never seen Pan's Labyrinth.
Really?
Yeah, I know. And
some would say that's a horror movie. So I guess it's fine for us to do Behind the Mask and Rise of Leslie Vernon. So let it be written. So let it be done.
Awesome. And one of my huge individuals that I admire his style. Like, man, if I was doing it, I would do it like him. One of those guys you try to emulate, you know?
For all intents and purposes, all of your films have been supposed to be like the foreign and more indie shit, and all yours are big, huge directors that are award winning and everything like that.
Well, you know what?
For the record, I seem to be the person picking the more niche ones thus far. But
well, actually, you know what? I'm going to stick with Pan's Labyrinth because I think that's the irony of the situation is that a lot of these are like foreign to me. We're playing catch up here. No goes backsies. We're sticking with Pan's Labyrinth.
There you go. And Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. All right. Yeah. So, all right. Once again, you listen to Bros Sip. I'm going to try and make that as awful every time I can. In Sip,
yeah, that was.
We talk all things horror and foreign films.
It was a good idea, but it's incredibly tough to do.
Man, you just got to be ready for it. We'll be back again next time. 2 parts will be Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon, and critically acclaimed Pan's Labyrinth. All right.
Love and prosperity, folks.
What he said.